perhaps the first thought about what permaculture is. It's to do with land use, gardening, agriculture, and other ways we work with natural resources to provide our needs. But it's also about the way we redesign our own ways of living, and for that matter, our own thinking.
And humans have a very peculiar egocentric point of view, that humans are intelligent but nature is not.
We've got to go back to the natural system and see how nature does it and try to mimic those same situations in our agricultural systems.
We can give back to the earth what we take. We can create abundant, rich environments that are clean and healthy. And we can go into completely trashed areas and regenerate those areas.
I see things turning. I see things going right. I travel a lot, and I get to see things changing all over the place.
Permaculture's power is this real ethical centre that determines and changes actually how people see the world.
When we see the earth as alive, a living body with her own rhythms and flows, when we work with her patterns, we can meet our human needs in ways that preserve and regenerate the environment around us. That is permaculture's promise. New Orleans, 2005. The devastation left in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina is a preview of what will come if we don't change our ways. Volunteers from all over the country came to New Orleans in 2005 and 6 to clean up after the storms. But how do we clean the invisible toxins?
And the third is that we take things in through our skin. We are most vulnerable to the things that we take in through our breath.
Common Ground Relief, a grassroots organization, helped with cleanup and rebuilding, gave out supplies, fed and housed thousands of volunteers. Common Ground tested soil for pollution left from oil spills and floodwaters and started a project in bioremediation, which means cleansing soil and water of toxins using nature's methods. Brewing teas of beneficial microorganisms and fungi, and growing special plants to uptake heavy metals. And they grew lots of organic food to feed volunteers. By working with nature, permaculture offers the hope that we can heal the destruction we've caused.
The forests of Tasmania were one of the models that we saw for developing permaculture ideas. I think that nature is like a huge design encyclopedia. Even though permaculture doesn't obviously start from any political premises, but the idea that the more self-reliant people are as individuals, as families and households, and as communities, then the more they're in position to actually take control of their own circumstances and also to negotiate with other forms of centralised power on not an equal footing. Obviously that's not possible, but at least in a position of not total dependence.
Look, nearly got all the feathers now.
Yeah.
In his homestead near Melbourne, Australia, Holmgren has carefully placed every element to use minimal energy, from garden beds close to the house to windows that capture the sun's heat. Permaculture principles favor small-scale, diverse systems and teach us to use lots of observation and creativity so we can use less muscle, less money, and less fossil fuels. Holmgren and co-founder Bill Mollison began formulating these principles in the 1970s.
The work of my co-originator, Bill Mollison, with his permaculture design course, which has gone all around the world, and in a lot of ways has been the primary mechanism by which permaculture has spread.
Bill Mollison laid the foundation, and the many teachers who've come up behind him all over the world share skills that lead to self-reliance. From organic gardening to alternative energy, fostering visionary solutions that are practical, down to earth, and within the reach of ordinary people. But permaculture is not any single technique or solution. It's about how the solutions fit together, the relationships between all the parts, and the people that put them into place. One hub of the global permaculture community is here in southern England at the Sustainability Center, the home of Permaculture magazine and a whole range of diverse projects.
We started this whole publishing adventure, and by we I mean Tim, my husband, and myself, with virtually no resources and very few skills, but with passion and vision. We have readers in 77 countries of the world on every continent.
I'm making it, John.
And we had no capital investors or funders. We became, I suppose, enchanted by the prospect that ordinary people could empower themselves and change their lives and also live happier, more fulfilled, more simple lives. And it's basically an educational charity which is set up for all sectors of the community, from children to young offenders to any volunteer that wants to come. A keynote of permaculture is optimism, the ability to do things for yourself, and if you can't do something yourself, you've got a network and someone else can help you. There's a lot of misery in this world, and that's why I think it's such a powerful force for change. So permaculture to me is a complete key, really, to a post-carbon future. For me, when I did my first permaculture design course, it was very much a way of completely opening my eyes to how nature impacted itself within woodland systems, forest systems, landscapes. Suddenly there was a pattern that I could understand and see.
The web of life is woven of patterns that repeat. The forces that shape the galaxies or fuel a hurricane guide the growth of a shell. The stars radiate light like a flower's petals radiate out to attract the bees. The star explodes and a flower disperses seed. Seen from space, the veins of rivers and estuaries branch like the veins of a leaf, the limbs of a tree. And our own designs are informed by our deep understanding of nature's geometry and harmony. When we begin by observing nature's patterns, when we learn to work as part of nature herself working, we find allies and helpers are everywhere, even in the most humble creatures. In the rainforest of Washington's Olympic Peninsula, Paul Stamets researches mushrooms and fungi, and his discoveries have brought a whole new repertoire of techniques into permaculture practice.
Fungi were the first organisms that come onto land. 1.6 billion years ago, it's the fungi that first came onto land masses from the ocean. Plants followed 600 million years ago. So fungi were on land for 1 billion years longer than plants.
Quite spectacular.
Paul maintains extensive laboratories and growing rooms at the headquarters of his company, Fungi Perfecti.
These are really, really gorgeous. And teas are made of this mushroom. It's very anti-arthritic. These are maitake, and maitake, these are cloudbursts. We're also involved in breaking down toxic waste. So a number of our strains have been very effective at breaking down PCB, besides diesel and diesel-based type of contamination.
0.5 gallons of it, 10 gallons.
On November 7, 2007, the freighter Costco Busan ran into the San Francisco Bay Bridge, spilling 58,000 gallons of oil into the bay. A group of volunteers demonstrates a permaculture approach to cleanup.
So we have here our hair mats. All of these mats have been made from human hair and dog hair that's been diverted from hair salons to harvest the oil from the oil spill, because the hair adsorbs oil. The oil sticks to the hair. These hair mats were used to adsorb, clean up the oil, and then now what we're doing is growing mushrooms on it. We have the oyster mushroom that's growing on this as it has absorbed the oil. It's a pretty exciting process.
And so the fungi can actually eat the petroleum and then generate fungal sugars in the process.
The hair mats cleaned up the oil, the fungi broke down the fuel, turning toxic waste to fertile compost.
Like a lion's mane.
The mushrooms we see above ground are the fruiting bodies. The organism itself is an underground web of thread-like hyphae that together are called mycelium.
What we have here, you're looking at the ground, you see ground. But in fact, there's a mycelial lens right underneath the very surface here. And if you dig down and you uncover it, you can see there's mycelium everywhere. And these exist in the first 4 or 5 inches of soil. And this white stuff is all infused with mycelium. And what I'm so excited about is that the solutions to many of the issues that we face today, both related to pollution and disease and sustainability, the answers are literally underfoot. The mycelium break down wood tissue and they generate soil. And so these are the soil magicians in nature.
We can build matter, but it won't resemble any of the organic matter that we associate with healthy soil. So without fungi, there is no soil.
It takes nature 1,000 years to build an inch of topsoil. We can do it much more quickly using permaculture techniques.
I love compost. And what we have here are blocks of mycelium, mushroom mycelium on sawdust, and then we have some of these pond plants that we pulled off. We mix it all up, but what's amazing is that the worms are extremely attracted to mycelium. They're mycophagists. Mycophagous means love to eat mycelium. And the worms then start consuming the mycelium and they make this into dirt. And literally in about 4 months, we can take this myceliated sawdust, that's what it is, just wood chips with mycelium on it, and we can turn it into this really, really beautiful soil that's usable for organic farms. I think mushrooms are magical for lots of reasons, but this really blows me away that this can come from wood in about 4 months. It's amazing, pretty astonishing, isn't it? I mean, it's magical. It's absolutely magic. This is a buffet, right? There's much talk about global warming, and one way of offsetting global warming is to increase the amount of outgassing oxygen-producing plants.
Plants and fungi build soil, and healthy soil is full of humus and living things which store carbon in stable forms for long periods of time. When we use permaculture methods to build soil, we can actually take some of the excess carbon out of the atmosphere and impact climate change.
probably just take that top layer off.
And no one knows more about the life in soil than microbiologist Elaine Ingham.
So we are experimenting with and working with different ways for backyard homeowners to make really good compost and know that it's really good compost. What are the recipes? What are the mixes that you have to put together? Every single pesticide people use are killing beneficial organisms in the soil.
It was Dr. Ingham's work that Common Ground Bioremediation Project drew upon in New Orleans to brew teas to restore life to damaged and toxic soil.
With this tea, we will probably be putting this out on several different lawns. There's some farms that we work with. There's a couple golf courses. The nutrients are in your soil. Stop putting the inorganic fertilizers out. Get the biology to do that work for you, and you have literally hundreds of years of fertility in your soil. You can get things back to a condition of health where basically Mother Nature is working the way she's supposed to work, the way she always has worked. Nobody's out there in that old-growth forest putting inorganic fertilizers or pesticides on, and yet it's the most productive ecosystems on this planet. I think Mother Nature's had the time to work this out properly. Maybe human beings have been trying to mess with this for the last 50 years. We've been really trying to mess with this. Maybe we don't know what we're doing, and that's why we've got the problems that we do.
The web of connections in the natural world is a model for how we can meet our own vital needs. Today, the average piece of food travels 1,500 miles before it gets to our plate. On living healthy soil, we can grow beauty in great abundance on even a small backyard in the middle of the city. Rebuilding our local food system is another important strategy in reducing our carbon footprint.
My daily practice, my meditation, is just working with nature and feeding myself.
Tabor Till Farm in Portland, Oregon is an urban permaculture homestead that provides Connie Van Dyke and her interns with about 60% of their food on just 1/5 of an acre.
In Portland alone, there's a lot of people that are really into permaculture, but there isn't as many actually physically practicing it. The movement is a lot of young people that don't own their own property. So I have an internship that comes through here and stays and lives in my basement and helps learn this urban setting, because this is really an important part. We can't, all live in the country.
Connie's garden integrates food, flowers, fruit, and medicinals.
So this is an asparagus bed, 3 plum trees here, 2 chestnuts. This is lamb's quarter. This is purslane, black-eyed Susan for insect beneficial. This is potatoes, feverfew. There's some wheat growing in here. I do a lot of oat straw, and so I harvest that. On the north side, we have more shade-loving food, like currants are growing back here. Megumi is over there. These mason bees will come out in April. That's how we fill up the area with pollinators again. And Jay's right here, and sometimes he'll take it right out of my hand. So this tub here is a nice cycle here, because the tub has a fish in it called Lucky, and he eats all the mosquitoes, and he poops in there, and the water comes down and it feeds the bamboo. Now the bamboo needs water. It also needs nitrogen. So we place the bamboo in between its 2 needs. It gets nitrogen from the manures and water from the pond. No, I don't eat my pets. I only eat their babies.
So here in this culture, in America, it's a lot of it's real short term. We want it now, we want it convenient, we want it to be cheap, and as a result, we're robbing from our future generations. The good news is we don't have to do that. We can We can clean water using biology. We can grow food without chemicals. We can build structures without harming the environment.
Hey girls, you want to come out?
So when we talk about permaculture, even though it was coined to begin to think about permanent agriculture, what really ended up happening is that we started seeing that culture and agriculture reflect each other. How a society treats the land, you can get a kind of a clue into what the heart of that society is about and what the culture of that society is about. The indigenous people here had food, enough food to feed the village for 2 years. That's national security, you know. That's, you know, really, because in the cities right now, we don't have enough food to feed people for 3 days. If there's a trucking crisis or a shipping crisis or a delivery crisis or any kind of crisis.
Here we have a couple,
Every aspect of Penny and James' home site is designed to stack functions and serve multiple purposes.
And eat bugs and bathe and hang out in the pond and have little ducklings and provide us with eggs in the springtime. And that's our worm bin. So this is where all the material that come out of our kitchen are scraps, and they end up in here. And I just want to show you this. What they do is they eat all the scrap material from the kitchen and turn it into worm castings, which this is a little bit of worm casting here. It looks just like soil. This is like gold in our garden. And that's in permaculture, what we're doing is closing the loop, the ecological loop, so that the waste products that are coming out of the way we live are turned into resources, and it just goes in a spiral back and forth like that. And that's what we're trying to do to every element of our life, to have no waste. Waste equals food. We're just going in a circle like that. And the beauty of it is, whenever you close one of those loops, your quality of life gets enhanced.
You know, one of the things we say is we're on the cutting edge of a 10,000-year-old technology, that a lot of these things aren't new. It's really about how do we observe natural systems and learn from them, and then reintegrate our lives individually, in our families, and as a culture back into the natural world again.
Now look at that, John. The white part is the only part that was sticking up, and when I went to get it out, it wouldn't move left or right.
It's pretty common to find that here.
Nice. This will be cool to show the students.
Yes, it will.
It looks like they get to see that
They're
and
gonna be
figure the
mad.
hole out.
Best would be to say that I'm a naturalist, a tracker, with over 30 years experience in the field mentoring people in helping them build stronger connections with place. My specialty is to bring people into a much deeper relationship, understanding the patterns of nature. I've always felt that the core, or the root of what we do is both supported and supports the vision and the work of permaculture. And I felt that in a way, as training trackers, I was training future advocates, leaders, visionaries for the work. I think our instructions in our DNA is to love and to be grateful for what creation has provided for us and provides for us every day, and that we need to return that favor by raising our children with understanding, and so that they can regenerate the natural world. Well, I think we're living in a world of diminishing biodiversity, which I think everybody knows. That not only do we have what I call the receding tide of life, from my own observation, species that I grew up with that don't return in the spring as much as they used to, or you don't hear their voices singing through the forest anymore. My experience with mentoring lots and lots of people in nature is that once they get past a certain threshold of awareness, they have a sudden intrinsic revolution that makes them realize the importance of that bird song. They value it as much as they would value anything beautiful and wonderful.
I would call this a trail crossing. I don't know what that's like over there, but it looks kind of cool. Yeah, there's some nice old growth up there. Look at that.
So we talk about the need to while watching in the distance, use your wide-angle vision to see everything at the same time, but letting your eyes go way out into the distance to watch a distant hill or a tree. And while you're doing that, to watch the movement of the grasses while you're sitting still. And at the same time, using your ears to listen and pick up the subtle sounds of nature around you. And then feeling the wind on your cheek, and little by little activating all 5 senses. There's something so deeply programmed in our blueprint as human beings that when we connect with nature again, we awaken our senses, we awaken our relationships, not just knowledge. So we're not just saying, I know that's a live oak tree. You can't put into words. So when we develop that relationship where you come home from being away for a few weeks and you just look at the trees and you're like, it's so good to see you, my friends. You know, when that feeling really returns to people, we could awaken that sense of curiosity of nature and that relationship again. We would have a grassroots movement that would make history. And the grassroots would be replaced by roots that are more edible.
And more people who have never really thought about a lot of these things are being exposed now to these ideas, and they get excited. I feel like it's starting to shift, and there's more and more people out there holding a very powerful vision. Then they're sharing it with their families and their friends. You know, once you connect even a few dots, you start to realize that this is our home, and this is we are completely reliant on this environment. We're completely reliant on the earth. When you think of the word permaculture, you're also thinking about this brilliant curriculum, a brilliant set of principles that can be applied anywhere. It can be applied in tropical, temperate, urban.
Bayview Hunters Point in San Francisco. Like many inner-city neighborhoods, it has plenty of places to buy liquor, but fresh food is harder to find. Permaculture sees needs as opportunities. Something fresh, a business run by young single moms, collects donated fruit from a packing company and delivers it to homes and businesses.
All right, thank you.
This is terrific. This is right in my neighborhood, and this is the type of thing that we need.
Access to good food is a key to addressing health issues, poverty, even crime. In this community garden, in the Double Rock housing projects, Hunters Point family hires at-risk youth to produce food and learn vital skills.
So I just wanted to ask why you think it's important for kids to work in the garden.
Well, I think they need to learn so that they could feed themselves, for one thing. Really, I would like to start a farmer's market if I can get vegetables just from one end to the other. Kids are excited about things that they produce. I just love it. I don't know what else to say, but I just enjoy it.
In a garden or forest, there's no waste. Every leaf that falls is recycled back into fertility, and that principle can also be applied to building.
It was a first of its kind. It achieved most of its goals. In the long run, will they make money on this building? I believe so.
And our major role here in the building was the rainwater recycle system. So we're going to head in and take a look. Here's the system we got set up for them. Basically what we're doing is we're taking the water from the roof, the rainwater here, on top of this building, and bringing it into the system, cleaning it, stripping it, purifying it, and making it acceptable for drinking water.
Everybody liked the idea, wanted to do it. No one wanted to step up and sign off on the permit and say we could go do it. If you pay for something, if it's filtered or it goes through a public line, it's safer. Whereas, in my opinion, this water is probably the cleanest water to drink in the city of Salem. So it's a continual education to get people to change how they think.
95% of our construction waste was recycled, and so you're educating the whole community.
Community. It's the thread that runs through all the permaculture principles and practices. Art, music, and celebration bring people together in ways that create healthy human ecologies.
Here we just exchange clothes or things. We love it, and everyone comes and brings family and people outside. Try to keep it neat.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Not bad.
How'd you get your bench?
Neighbors and everybody helped me. I designed it, and we put it together. If you want to pull the neighbors together, you got to do something.
City Repair in Portland, Oregon transforms intersections into gathering places.
I mean, ultimately, the answer to the question of why we need community is just simply that it's our nature. We're communal beings. We really are individual only in a few different sort of small ways. And we find fulfillment in each other. We find growth in our interactions. Someone had just been describing these gathering places that were going to be created in the future. And I can remember saying, okay, I don't understand. I'm willing to do anything to help the world. I said, but I don't understand how this will happen. So that conversation led to just talking about how what was needed now were actions and not words. That it was the time for words was long past, and the only way that the world was going to be changed would be through directly demonstrating what you were talking about, but through actions. City Repair was founded in 1996. City Repair just began through modeling things directly, not waiting, not even asking any permission of anyone, but just directly creating. And then people were able to walk in. I mean, people would just immediately say, what can I do? What can I give?
Permaculture empowers people to take positive action, to create using low-cost, local, recycled, and renewable materials, to reduce our use of energy by increasing our use of imagination, and to always keep learning.
The great problem of every city is the disinvolvement of the population, relegating people just to a workforce. And the repair of the city, in which we right the wrongs and we transcend the issues and we go into opportunities and we actually enjoy an aesthetic experience together, begins with bringing people together to convert problems into opportunities.
Each year, City Repair's Village Building Convergence uses sculpture, natural building, art, and mosaics to bring people together, to transform the city and leave lasting monuments to creativity.
This is my first year being involved in City Repair and doing the workshops. Today there's an amazing workshop happening. It's I think it's called Permaculture as a Revolution.
You guys can choose trowels and begin to work there, or spread yourselves out, okay? All right. It's gonna be beautiful, you guys. All right. Shira, that's beautiful. That's just what I'm thinking, is just to thicken that and smooth that.
And as we've seen in City Repair, of course, it's growing. It's twice as big as last year, and it's happening in other cities. And that's because people respond to this. It feels right.
Clay, sand, and straw, a mixture called cob, and an ancient technique that natural builders and the permaculture movement have revived.
It's just magic. I just cannot say enough about it. I am a cob addict.
This is what you're building.
I have been cobbing for at least 10 years, very consistently.
So we work a lot on the edges.
One angle of it is the amazing ability to build your own home and build your own space. But another one is the process, the people and the relationships and the conversations, and just life. that happens around it nourishes me.
Permaculture has been called the art of designing beneficial relationships, and that includes our human relationships. We are important. Our human creativity is needed, and we have a vital role to play in healing the earth.
Personally, I'm hopeful because I am constantly engaged in community. I'm in a continuous flow of creative community throughout the course of every day throughout the year. There's no time to be hopeless. Undertaking this work gives you a chance to be a part of making things right.
Yeah, can you believe what we've done in 3 days? This mural is incredible, and we've got mosaics now stretching on both sides of this walk representing all the elements.
I mean, our greatest tools are things like beauty and patience. Like, if we can manifest all of the highest human qualities through what we create. I mean, I actually go through those feelings myself all the time. I see something beautiful like I just saw up at Awakenings, and I'm overwhelmed by all the beauty and love that I'm seeing expressed.
Because it'll get a living roof, and then I'll bore in up there and taper this down.
And we need to have the faith that what we're onto is powerful enough in and of itself to be persuasive. Ultimately, it has to work like that.
Permaculture says, yes, we can. We can create a permanent culture.
In the beginning, working on the permaculture concept, I certainly had no grasp of that turning into a social movement. I think another aspect is the recognition that at least in affluent countries where people are in many ways unfitted or uneducated for this more self-reliant way of living which will be necessary in the future, that permaculture has become like a life change process or a self-education process.
Let them be kids when they
Permaculture fundamentally makes you happy, and because the technologies and the techniques and the ideas behind it are common sense and are part of what is fundamentally humanity's natural heritage.
I also try to expose myself to things that are beautiful because I think it's a really beautiful world and this is my life and I want to feel joy. That's partly my own selfish way, but I also see that having that love of life is the example I would like to set of my life here.
If you can provide the slightest bit of hope for people, they light up today like a Christmas tree. People are looking for something. They really are. I just know. I mean, you can feel it, and you can feel it in the air. And I just want to help. You know, anywhere I look, if there's something I can do that can sow more hope, that's what I want to do.
The earth wants to heal. The earth wants to go in that direction, and if left alone, that's where it's going to go. We are an important part of the equation as humans. I think humans have the capacity to do incredible good on the earth.
We are all evolutionary successes. We should cheer. We've made it this far. You know, from billions of years ago when the Earth first formed, 4.5 billion years ago, to this day, you know, we represent the best of the evolutionary successes. Whether it's a microbe, whether it's a millipede, whether it's mycelium, or whether it's us. But we are here today because a cooperation of myriads of organisms that have come together symbiotically And we have succeeded because of partnering with nature and partnering with the complexity of nature.
Edges, where the river meets the forest, where one system meets another, are the most diverse and creative of places. Permaculture, where the human meets the natural, may be that creative edge where we renew the world.
Everything's connected to everything. Everything's connected to everything. Darling, everything's connected to everything. Everything else. Everything else. Every plant in the garden has more than one purpose. It exists for itself, yet it longs to be of service. And every gift is offered to all that wants, and every need is satisfied by several plants. All life is intangible.